Now, I told you that we were going to be meeting different artists today, and here we are with Jonathan Mandell in his home in Bala Cynwyd. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi,
how are you? It's so nice to meet you.
Likewise.
I've heard so much about you.
Thank you.
And I know we've been trying to get here for a while. I'm excited to see your artwork and to hear about the history behind it and how and what you, the passion that you have for your work. And so go ahead. You could start.
Well, thank you. I guess first off, I'm a local product. I went to Lower Merion High School and did my art training here at University of Pennsylvania. Got a Master of Fine Arts degree in 1990, and that's sort of where it all began for me. I studied sculpture. When you study paint, you have your paintbrush, your canvas, your paints, and you paint. With sculpture, you can learn to weld or carve wood or model clay, all these different techniques, and some come off your hand more easily than others. When I was doing the sculpture, there was a guy who was a year ahead of me who was Egyptian, and he and his wife both did mosaic, and they suggested I try it, and it kind of worked for me. I think I was always like a closet painter somehow, and doing the mosaic allowed me to get into color composition and spatial composition, which are more painterly ideas, and eventually, doing enough of it, it kind of became the fusion of sculpture, paint, and drawing for me.
So tell me this piece behind us here, because this is beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about this.
This piece is called Nisqually 1, and it's named Nisqually 1. There was an earthquake in the Pacific Northwest in 2000 called the Nisqually Quake, and I got different glass artists in that region to give me their broken pieces. A lot of artists lost a lot of work in the earthquake, and I created Nisqually 1, 2, and 3 with the idea of giving a percentage of the sale to SURF, Craft Artist Emergency Relief Fund. So this is Nisqually 1.
Now, I noticed there are a lot of different textures running through here too. Can you explain a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
Part of my interest in wanting to use glass shards is that the pieces are from broken vases and vessels, so they're convex and concave. They're not flat like stained glass. So because of that, I can get into bas-relief ideas across the mosaic surface. And in this case, this is all the art glass, and then the sky complementing the art glass is natural glass. This is volcanic obsidian from Utah. It's called snowflake obsidian because of the little dots. And then the figure is 3 varieties of marble. It's kind of a Gauguin-esque stylization of figure. What is unique about my art form with mosaic is that I use the grout lines, the cement lines, as drawing lines. So they bring you back into space, or they describe the volume here of the leg, that it's solid, different ideas like that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. So this piece is called Curtain Call, and it's an example of one of my ceramic tile pieces, where it's a lot of tweezer-sized shards that all come together. This is I like to tinker with perspective, and this is a perspective piece. You have the view from behind the loge box down onto the stage. So you have the one loge box on one side and the one on the other, and you have all the movement of the orchestra and the more static quality of the audience. And that kind of is what's going on with this. Tiny little pieces that are tweezered together to make bow ties and instruments.
Oh yeah, look, tiny.
This one's called Side Pocket. He's taking the shot for the side pocket, which is notoriously the most difficult shot in the pool. And I apportioned part of the space as mosaic framing, and then I used little baby toy pool balls to decorate it. The framing wraps around the side edge. And it's another perspective scene. You have the overhead lamp coming down onto the table, and tiny little details like the upper left-hand corner of the clock. That's something that could take hours and hours to try to shape little bitty numbers on a wet saw, and then the fill pieces in and around the numbers. Sometimes you actually get to use the actual materials, like I'm using slate for the blackboard. You could write on that with chalk if you want.
Let's see. Oh yeah, how about that? And I bet you these little details in here too, in his face.
Yeah, again, tiny little tweezer-sized pieces that you get, maybe 15 that you put together, and it makes a face. And characters or caricatures start to form as you do it, and I don't necessarily have a plan. You start putting them together, and then you see something and you flesh it out. His vest is an agate. The man's glasses in the lower left is abalone, mother of pearl.
Oh yeah,
And the
look.
pockets are tiger eye here. These are little marbles.
Oh, I love tiger eyes.
So I have all kinds of stones and minerals and glass and tile, and I'm like a pack rat. I just collect all this stuff and eventually plug it in. I don't know the first thing about firing tile or the first thing about blowing glass. I just get the material, cut it, and do my thing.
That's very nice. And it's almost, as I'm looking at this, it's coming alive to me. It's like you're looking at all of your work, and there's life there. It's not just a piece of art that is just sitting there. It seems to have some kind of life in it.
I think if there's one thread that's continuous through most of my portfolio, it's that it tends to be very whimsical and upbeat in its feel. And I like to tinker with perspective or the point of view. So here it's kind of a little bit aerialized, and it almost sucks you into the composition.
Right, I feel that I'm on the ceiling looking down at them.
And if you
nice.
get back from it 10 feet, even more so, you get a different kind of feel. But it's these grout lines, the drawing lines, that make that all happen.
Yeah, I love that because it makes all of the colors jump out. You know, it just kind of brings everything out to you. Even the image itself, it seems, just stands out.
There are things that I wouldn't have available to me that a painter would have, and that I'm not blending paints and I'm limited by the colors I find or that I have custom made for me. But the idea of being able to use the cement line as a drawing line is something that a painter would not have, that I have. So it kind of developed into something that I can use towards my advantage.
Okay.
Sorry.
Tell me a little bit about your education here in Philadelphia.
I got a Master of Fine Arts from the University of Pennsylvania from what was the Graduate School of Fine Arts in 1990. Since I left, they tore down the building where I had my studio, changed the name of the school, and the professors all left and or passed on. So I'm starting to reconnect with the University of Pennsylvania, which is nice. But when I was there was a professor whose name was Sewell Silman, who was an older gentleman at the time, and he came in every week from Connecticut, and he taught 2 classes. One was in color theory and one was in drawing. Color theory class, we used a high-quality colored paper called Color Aid. It's like 350 different shades and tones. And the brilliance of that was you didn't get caught up in the craft of blending colors. You just had all these perfect colors in front of you. And you cut and snip the different colors and make color act in different ways. You can make 2 different colors appear to be the same color, or the same color appear to be 2 different colors by what background colors you applied them to. And you learned that color was very fluid. And he taught a drawing class. The drawing class was just making line act. There was no shading or toning or cross-hatching, and you could get non-art people to learn how to do this pretty quickly. And I took those 2 ideas, I replaced the paper with ceramic, and the line became the grout line. And it was a direct distillation of what I learned.
That's very interesting. And so, tell me about some of your exhibits that you've had recently, too.
Well, I have my work in different public places around the city. At the ballpark, Citizens Bank Park. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
At Citizens Bank Park, I have 2 pieces. One is a portrait of the ballpark, and the other is a portrait of Jim Tomei. And I also have work at the National Constitution Center. There I created a big 10-foot by 6-foot Constitution theme piece so that a docent can stand in front of the piece and teach about the Constitution to school kids.
Oh, very nice, very nice. And when will the next exhibit be? Is there something coming up?
I don't have a local exhibit coming up. I show in Stone Harbor at the William Risk Gallery.
Oh, okay,
where I have
I
a
know
number
that.
of my floral pieces. So that's probably the nearest.
Right in the center of Stone Harbor?
Yes.
I know that I've seen your
Yes.
work there. My family is down in that area, so
Oh,
I have seen it. See?
So I've been exhibiting with Mary at that gallery for a number of years.
Okay, so where can people purchase some of your artwork? How can we do that?
At William Risk would
Okay,
be the
okay, that would be a good
nearest
spot.
place.
And do you have a website that people can order?
JonathanMandell.com is my
Okay.
website, and that
Okay.
has all my portfolios of public work, of portraits. I've done a lot of portrait work, different slice of life scenes, boardwalk scenes, restaurant scenes, art museum gallery scenes, all different kinds of things.
And what is some of your favorite pieces that you've done in all these years, 20 years? So you've done a lot.
Recently, I was commissioned to do 2 portraits of the Great Room of the Barnes Foundation. And when I was first presented with that idea, it was kind of raising the bar to an even higher level of nuttiness in terms of what you can put together with little tiny bits of tile shards. In that case, I had to recreate 30 different Impressionist masterworks and the space where they hang. And it was really challenging. First was a view facing the west wall of the Great Room, and it's hard enough to do the paintings on the west wall, but then if you imagine the north and south walls receding back into space, you're trying to make it look like a Picasso or a Matisse as it's distorting back into space out of tiny little shards of tile. It's pretty challenging.
But you did it.
I did it.
And you have a photo to show me? You have
Yeah.
something you could show me? That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good to see. So this is what you're talking about with the Barnes Foundation and the room.
Yeah, this is a portrait of the Great Room. I actually featured Dr. Barnes in the composition, and it has 30 different Impressionist masterworks. The most challenging is in the center of the west wall there, the back wall, which is Seurat's The Models. He has part of his masterpiece, the Grand Shot, Sunday Afternoon at the Grand Shot, in the corner, just sort of hanging out in the studio with the models sort of in the front. So it was crazy trying to figure out how to make all the details work and what bits of detail you can omit and what you have to leave in order to make it look like. What I did was I framed out all the paintings in gold and tiger eye to recreate that gilded frame quality that you have with these paintings in the collection.
And can you tell our viewers the location of the Barnes Foundation so people can go and see?
Barnes
themselves?
Foundation is now on the Parkway. It's at 20th and the Parkway. And my posters and note cards are being featured in their museum shop now.
We're in the studio now. I'm so glad that we didn't miss it. Oh, what is this?
This is my first international piece. It's going to the Hadassah Medical Center in Israel. It's a portrait of a West Coast philanthropist, and she has great ties with the Hadassah Medical Center, so they're
And what is her name?
her Barbara Miller.
Oh, wow.
So here I used chevron amethyst and glass gems for her necklace. Her brooch is abalone, and her earrings
wow.
are pyrite, fool's gold,
It's really pretty.
and her eyes are stone stromatolite.
And what is this? This is...
That's the glass shards.
Oh, okay.
I did this in the style of a 17th century portrait where you have the figure and then the landscape behind the figure is narrative to the figure. It speaks to the subject's life. So it's the hillside in Jerusalem there in the background.
That's very pretty.
The stripes on her sweater give me a great opportunity with the grout lines to express the solidness of her arm or her torso and all that coming together through these series of lines. You can also see that in her hair very clearly, the way the lines kind of move around in space and define the volume and solidness of.
With her natural waves.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
This
look at
is a fun. I like to call these
I
slice
like
of life
that.
scenes.
Look at that.
It's a.
Everyone's
nightclub
having
scene.
a good time there.
My favorite is this guy. He looks like he's been caught somehow.
Oh, yeah, he looks guilty. Look at his
So
eyes.
he's charged.
And I like this couple here.
Thank you. So each couple, each little aspect of the composition has a narrative quality. There's like a story that the viewer can take from it, each in their own way. The artwork on the wall there is different
This one?
stones and minerals,
Oh,
tiger
yeah.
eye, and pink is rhodonite and red jasper. So there are different stones, mineral, tile, metals, mirror, all come together to create the composition.
Oh, you're right. There's something going on. There's a couple over here, and there's a group over there. There's a lot happening there, and it's nice. It all comes together. The
Little-
band.
Little characters kind of develop as I start putting one piece next to another, and it kind of flows. I don't necessarily plan out what's happening too much in advance.
Right.
I'm more concerned with the overall composition, where I'm going to begin to draw the viewer's eye into the piece and how
Right.
it moves across, and breaking up the space and the colors and all that sort of thing.
And you said you teach at Drexel also?
Teach at Drexel
Okay.
in the Westfall College. I do my painterly approach to mosaic. I bring in little portable wet saws and teach the students how to use them, and each gets an 18-inch by 18-inch wall-mounted panel. They get all different colors of tile. And we start with cut paper, and they work up compositions of landscape or still life or whatever, and then they bang out the mosaic over the course of the semester.
How long have you been teaching there?
Been teaching there, this will be my third year. I teach in the spring, and as well I'm teaching at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts this fall. I have a course that's Thursday mornings.
Okay.
Same idea.
Now, have you seen any promising artists in your classes?
Absolutely. It's amazing because the students all bring their own point of view to it,
Right.
and they do subject matter and ways of cutting the tile that I would never think of in a million years, so it's always very inspirational.
So you're getting ideas from them also.
Absolutely. My ideas hopefully inform their work, and their ideas certainly inform mine. love you, Heart of Philly.